Hi, this is a Volt Vector video. In this video, we're going to go over creating a vector database with Weaviate. In this instance, we're going to use the Weaviate cloud, but you can also create your own instance of Weaviate and just access it using a public URL. So I've already created one profile here, which we're going to use just a little bit to show you the embeddings and a retrieval chat, but right now I'm going to show you all the settings for setting up a profile for Weaviate. So I'm going to call this Weaviate demo. I'm going to use OpenAI. I'm not going to add the API key because I'm actually not going to use this one. And I want to go here to Weaviate to bring up the Weaviate settings. So the parent retrieval, chunk size, chunk overlap, sentence minimum, same as all the other vector databases that are available. Some different options. You can add you have to add the API key, you have to add the class, and you have to add the cluster URL here. And then you have this option for delete class. So let's go over each one. So the API key and the cluster URL you can find in your profile. So you want to get those first. So setup cluster, you go there, it'll click you, take you to the sign in screen. When you're here, you can create your cluster by creating one here. See the option of free one. You can give this a name here. I already called a name. So the free one, it's good for 14 days. Great, test it. You want to enable authentication because we're going to use the API key to get it. So it's 100 free, lets you do whatever you want to kind of test things. You also can do managed cluster. You're going to have a minimum fee of $25 a month. Otherwise, it's about 10 cents per 1 million vector dimensions. We're using 1536 for vector dimensions. So every chunk will count for 1536 of that 1 million. So you can hold quite a lot for 10 cents. But just be aware you're at least going to be charged $25 a month. And it's lifetime. It's never terminated like the free version. So that's what the clusters cost there. I've already created a free one here so we can look at some of the details. So you see the cluster URL is right here. We would copy that, put it here. API key, you click on this. Since this cluster is going to disappear, we're just going to show everyone the API key. All right. Now, this Weaviate class, this is what all the embeddings are going to be stored under. By default, it's going to say Volt Vectors. You can change it to other things. So you can have multiple profiles with different classes under the same cluster URL. It's up to you. You should start with a capital letter and then have something right there. So I'm just going to call it Volt Vectors Test. That's what I'm using for this whole thing. The last setting to go over is this Weaviate delete class. If you have this enabled, well, we can do that. Let's save. All right, so we got everything saved. So I have the delete class enabled. If I come here and delete this, when it deletes this profile, it will delete the class in the Weaviate cloud, and it will delete all the embeddings under it. So if you don't want those embeddings deleted, you want this off. When you save, and do that. So that kind of protects you there. All right, so we've got everything created. You're all set up. Weaviate's set up now. So now it's ready to create an embedding. So in this case, I created an embedding. I just used the URL scrape feature, and I used this wired article in defense of AI hallucinations. So this one, the URL scrape is okay, but it kind of pulled in a ton of data. So already you can kind of see about those dimensions we mentioned earlier. I've got 92 objects. I think 87 were from this article because it pulled in a lot of weird things. And so that ended up to being, I'm at 141,312 dimensions. So that's 92 times 1536 gets you that. So the dimensions go up pretty quick, but again, they're pretty cheap. So just something to be aware of. All right, so we've created that. So then we have a retrieval chat. If you needed to work with a retrieval chat, you go to profiles, you make sure you select Volt Weaviate. That's the one we set up. I've already set up previously. Then coming down, all right, we can now chat with that article. So we've got how to defend hallucinations. This is now using the content from Wired. It's checking with embeddings in Weaviate, and you can see it here. So, all right. And then let's ask another question I already prepared. Oops. That's our wonderful API key that's going to disappear in a couple days. All right, and again, it's cited at source, and I'll put it back here. So that's Weaviate, and that's how you set it up with volt vectors and use it for your embeddings.